Anybody else?
Jeffrey Epstein is a terrific guy.
Well, I knew him like everybody in Palm Beach knew him. I mean, people in Palm Beach knew him. He was a fixture in Palm Beach. I had a falling out with him a long time ago. I don't think I've spoken to him for 15 years. I wasn't a fan. I was not, a long time ago. I'd say maybe 15 years. I was not a fan of his. That I can tell you. I was not a fan of his. So I feel very badly.
This one doesn't excite me, but it needs to be done because I'm not seeing anybody else in conservative media talking about this. I'm really not seeing anybody else in liberal media talking about this. But it needs to be talked about. Donald Trump's connection to Jeffrey Epstein. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it because we got these documents released to the public. The lovely Epstein files here that these lovely influencers were holding up here. This phase 1 of the Epstein files release. There you go. The binder, all these details, which included a list of confiscated materials. It contained a contact book, which, despite what some people will say in their uneducated opinion, is not his little black book of dirty contacts. It's just his contact book. This is just people that he knew, and Donald Trump's phone numbers on there, as well as a whole lot of other people's phone numbers. And I wouldn't really read much into that because it's not the list and it's not a dirty list or anything. It's literally just his contacts book. The other thing that was released by the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, in this botched ass release. Here you see some of that black book with redacted, and I believe it's on all the way down on the bottom last page, or certainly one of them is, there's Richard Branson. Where is Donald Trump? He's down here somewhere. Anyway, he's in this contact book here as we scroll through this. All of the redacted is addresses, phone numbers, that sort of thing. So it's not hiding anybody's name. It's simply just protecting private information, which is funny because this entire document was leaked out to the internet unredacted. So I don't know what good it does to release it redacted, other than most people would not have sought out the previous. As I scroll here, I should have wrote down what page that was on. There's a bajillion pages in this contact book, but I could have swore it was towards the bottom. But he's on the contact list, and you'll see some people on the liberal media pointing that out and saying, "Oh, there he is." But I would take that with a huge grain of salt, as these are just people he knew. However, there is something much more damning. And that's this, the flight logs. And we're going to go ahead and get into this now. I'll explain why I don't think this is damning, and why I don't think this affects Donald Trump at all, and why I do think he is, in fact, innocent. But no one's saying this, Every conservative media pundit, YouTuber, podcaster, everybody that I've listened to on this Epstein shit has mentioned the name. Oh, Bill Clinton was on the flights, and Kevin Spacey was on the flights, and Chris Tucker was on the flights. Naomi Campbell was on the flights. You know who they did not mention? They did not mention Donald Trump. Why? just because he's our guy. I voted for Trump. Full disclosure, I am a Trump guy through and through. And I do believe he's innocent. But I don't know why nobody's not talking about his connections here. If we're going to talk about Bill Clinton's, we got to talk about Donald Trump's. And here is a more less scribbly version, because this list right here, I don't know whose handwriting this is, but this is chicken scratches. This is damn near illegible. Very hard to make out a lot of these names. Excuse me, I apologize for that. I am recovering from a cold. Snot-nosed brats, right? Little kids bringing home sickness. These flight logs go back to 1991. However, on this digitized list that I was able to pull up, it only goes back to 1995. And I'm just going to go ahead and assume it's because most of the 1991 is illegible. That one looks pretty good, but that, hard to make out. Chicken scratches there, even harder to make out. More chicken scratches. That one's completely fake. You can't make out any of those names. That's complete and total gibberish there. Chicken scratches, nothing. You can't, look at that. Look at that. There is nothing there. However, I've gone through all these. And though I haven't completely finished my list, I have gone through and tried to, I'm still tracking flights to the island. There are a lot. So I am making that list. I'll show you what I have so far. I don't know that I'm going to come up with anything new, though, because I have already gone through and noted the celebrities that are on here. But the first thing I want to point you to, this is the first page right here, page 18 of this flight log. And we'll zoom in here. And what do we have here? Who's that? We'll zoom in more. Try to get us on screen there. Who's this? Huh? What's that name? What do you call that? Who's that guy? What about this one? Who's that? Those are only two. Two in, as a matter of fact. Let me pull up my list here. Oop, closed out of it. I have the full list right here. Donald Trump was on the Epstein flights not once, not twice, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, but 7. Nope, wait for it. 8 times. 8. Donald Trump flew with Jeffrey Epstein. He is in the flight logs 8 times, and I have them for you right here. Don't worry, I'll explain why I still think Donald Trump is fine here. He's fairly innocent, okay? So let's not get too bent out of shape or did not clicking away and stuff. I'm not trying to bury Trump, but I'm not running from the fact like a lot of these other conservative pundits are. We got to get to the bottom of this, right? So if there's something there, we should know. We don't get to pick and choose our favorite pederasts, though I don't think he's a pederast. Let me state that, and I'll explain why. But first, let's talk about it. Donald Trump first jumped on this plane on April 23rd, 1993, from Newark, New Jersey to Palm Beach, Florida. On this list, now remember the chicken scratches. I could only make out Epstein was on that plane. And I think Aaron Nance, but this is kind of, the Aaron was really hard to find. Nance I could make out, but Aaron was completely illegible. That was just not going to happen. And I have not yet cross-referenced these names. One of them I did here, down here, Sophie Biddle. I did try to look her up. Not a lot there, but she appears on the flights a lot throughout the whole history. So she's tied to Epstein regularly. I don't, maybe she's just his secretary, though. Who fucking knows? As I was unable to find anything on an official Sophie Biddle, other than there was an actor that was in like Armageddon and like PAX and stuff with Kevin Spacey. So, hey, maybe there is a connection there. April 26th, 1993, from Palm Beach, Florida to Newark, New Jersey. This was just a round trip, right? From on April 23rd, 93, from New Jersey to Palm Beach, and then back from Palm Beach to Jersey in 3 days. The third flight, October 11th, 1993, from Palm Beach to Newark, New Jersey. On this plane, Epstein, Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Sophie Biddle. Again, unable to identify exactly who Sophie Biddle is at this time, but she appears a lot on the flight logs. A lot. October 17th, 1993, from Palm Beach, Florida to Newark, New Jersey. It's basically the same flight every single time. Here's Washington, D.C. Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and Donald Trump. They were the only 3 people on that flight. And then skipping all the way now up to May 15th of 1994, from Palm Beach to Washington, D.C., Epstein, Marla Maples, which was Trump's woman at the time, Tiffany Trump, which is the daughter of Donald, and I don't know offhand. Let me quick Google that if you don't mind. I did not have this pulled up, but Tiffany Trump birthday. October 13th, 1993. So she was a goddamn baby at this time. And thus, that's why the nanny was there too. So, and then a dude named Mark Middleton. I have no idea who this Mark Middleton is. And then they flew back from D.C. to, they went from D.C. to Newark. Obviously, there's nothing. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that there was absolutely no shady business going on at least these 2 flights for sure, because Trump's woman was there and his little baby was there and the nanny was there. So I'm going to say that there's probably no shenanigans happening on that particular flight. Because let me tell you this, guys, this flight log, it's not all trips to Pedo Island, okay? This was private jets are used all the time for rich business people to travel back and forth. A lot of these flights are very mundane, boring, to this, to that. And I'll explain a little bit more, and I'll show you a little bit as we go here. There is a specific point where the island comes into play, and there is it appears on the list a lot, like a lot, but it's nowhere near where Trump is, okay? And that's why I think Trump's innocent. I'll explain more in a minute. Here's the 7th trip from Palm Beach to Newark again. This one featured Jeff Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Paula Epstein, Jeff Epstein's aunt. No name here, it just said Jeff's aunt. Eric Trump, who was also probably a little kid at that time. AS, just the initials AS. No idea who that is. And illegible. This was the last one that was in handwriting only on the scribble sheet that I showed you. I'll pull that back up in a minute. And then the very last flight, this is the only one that popped up on my digital here where I was able to clearly make out these names. January 5th, this was the last flight that Trump was ever on with Jeffrey Epstein. January 5th, 1997. And that was years. Look, he hadn't even been on the plane in 2 years, basically, or a year and a half. January 5th, 1997, from Palm Beach to New Jersey. Jeff Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Mark Epstein, Eva Dublin, Selena Dublin, and Didier Kazugabla. I don't fucking know. Now, I have not cross-referenced those people to see if they were up to any shady shenanigans. But that's it. That is the extent of the Trump. And as you see, I have Prince Andrew here. We'll get into those. I'll end this video here with those as we get into those. I'll show you those just to kind of make this a well-rounded video here. But these are the scribbles. I don't know who wrote this flight log, but this is what it looks like. Let me try to make that smaller here. And it's just a bunch of this. This is all that was released. Look at that. You can't read that shit. Who the fuck are these names? You can't make that out. Illegible. But a lot of these are mundane flights, so these are the flight codes. JEB, BOS, Boston, perhaps TEB, that's in Jersey. What are some of the other ones? I can't even make that out at this time, but these are all codes. These initials here, these are the code ATL, that would be Atlanta. These are all codes. You'll see LAX in here. That's another flight code. These are all codes for airports. And the private jet was used, it seems, pretty regularly, very often. There's no way that this was all just shady shenanigans. Private jets. Here's another one. Donald Trump. See that? There's the one with Marla and Tiffany and the nanny. That one's very legible. There's that Mark Middleton guy. He appeared on a flight with Trump at one point. He's on here. A lot of these, I believe, are just, he's a rich guy with a private jet. And you'll hear Trump talk about, we'll play that later. We'll play that one later. What one was I looking for? It might have been the one I played at the beginning where he said he's a guy I knew in Palm Beach. Everybody knew him in Palm Beach. Let's play that again.
He is a terrific guy.
Well, I knew him like everybody in Palm Beach knew him. I mean, people in Palm Beach knew him. He was a fixture in Palm Beach. I had a falling out with him a long time ago. I don't think I've spoken to him for 15 years. I wasn't a fan. I was not, a long time ago. I'd say maybe 15 years.
And that's backed up by the fact that his flight log ends in 1997, and there is 0 after that for Donald Trump. Lots of Bill Clinton after that, not for Donald Trump. That's one of the distinguishments there that I'll get into here in a minute. What else did I want to pull up here? Oh, there was something else I was looking for. Oh, right here. This is what I was looking for. This is the Wikipedia for Epstein Island. Little St. James, U.S. Virgin Islands is where it's at. Right there, you see the dot. Ownership. It was a private island in 1997. Little St. James was owned by venture capitalists, blah, 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 blah. In April 98, a company called LSJ LLC purchased the island for $7.9. That's it? You can buy islands for $8 million? Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Why don't more billionaires own islands? I guess this is probably why, right? Not a good look. And the documents showed that Jeffrey Epstein was the sole member of LSJ. And in 2019, the island was valued at $63,000. That can't be right. Is that right? So 63 million. Right. I can't read. Don't mind me. It's late. So that's a huge jump from the 7.95 that he bought it for. But we're establishing a timeline here, right? Epstein Island didn't even exist till 1998 when he bought it. Donald Trump's flights were pre-1997. Last flight was in 1997. So in January 97, right? Wasn't it? January 97. Yeah. And then the island was purchased in April of 98. So we're talking almost a year and a half after Donald Trump's last flight with him. So even though the internet will have you believe that pictures like this and pictures like this and pictures like this, a lot of these are coming from the Washington Post, by the way, very liberal. Vanity Fair, this one came from, this one from the Washington Post. Of course, the liberal douchebag sites will want to perpetuate this kind of stuff, right? Clearly, there was a connection there. Trump never denied that he knew Epstein. I mean, he said, I knew him. You know, he was a little kind of vague about that. Obviously, he didn't just know him, right? We can clearly see this is a lot more than just I knew him, right? This is partying. In fact, I believe there are archive footage. This is from CNBC. Again, liberals. So, but of course, they would try to perpetuate this, but they have the video, so let's watch it. At Mar-a-Lago. Look at that hair. It's the most ridiculous hair ever. Nobody straightened out that messy shit in the back. Got Jelaine back there behind him, yeah. So we have a party with drinks and women and Epstein. Here's Epstein talking about Donald Trump.
He is able to convince people, so he tells everybody what they want to hear.
So how do you know this?
Donald's closest friend.
He has a sense of humor. He can be funny.
He's right.
I was his closest friend for 10 years, says Epstein. It's a lot different than I knew him, right? We need to be concerned about Trump trying to downplay his connection to Epstein. If he has nothing to hide, then he should have nothing to hide, right? I was friends with him. We were buddies. And then we had a falling out. He does kind of say he had a falling out, but he doesn't really say we were best friends.
His ability to sell. It's very much like Clinton. Both Bill and Donald have the ability to go over to a fat, ugly woman, say, you are the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. So you probably know he had a scalp reduction. Because he had the same male pattern organ that we all have. But he's not he's a horrible human being. He does nasty things to his best friends' wives. Anyone who first tries to gain your trust and then uses it to do bad things.
He's a horrible human being, says a horrible human being. Well, if you had a little falling out with him. And to further add to the speculation, Donald Trump maybe a little hesitant when talking about releasing the Epstein files as compared to JFK and the rest of them.
It's just very strange for a lot of people that the list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way. Probably.
So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because it's so many years ago.
Why change the... I'll certainly take a look at it. By the way, Kennedy, now that one, I'll really, that's the one I'm going to fucking release.
You know, they do that for danger, too, because, you know, endangers certain people, et cetera, et cetera. So Kennedy is very different from the Epstein thing. But yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
He'd be inclined to. He'd have no problem with it. In fact, these Epstein docs would not be released at all if Trump did not wish it to happen. His names are all over it. They weren't redacted. And then here from the Patrick Bet-David show, Another little interesting clip.
My point is, BBD, I hope it's not all talk. Can we hear this 13 seconds?
Declassify the 9/11 files.
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah. I would.
That's crazy. He had to think about that one. He said he'd released the 9/11, the JFK. He said he did a couple. I want to see the rest of them. But with the Epstein, he paused. Is that crazy?
That's that. Yeah, there's something to that. So he's said that he would release the files, but he doesn't seem as excited to release the files. Of course, here are the Epstein files. Attorney General Pam Bondi gave everybody this goofy little fucking binder with a bunch of shit that we have already seen. This has already been released to the public. The flight logs, the contact list, the items that were confiscated. And I do think there's something shady here. I did do a whole separate video on this, but in short, I think Pam Bondi's lying to us because she had this on her desk, which included this. Nope. Where am I looking here? It's here. There it is. This is the list of confiscated items. So she thought she had everything on her desk in a little binder, a little stack of 200 papers. When all of this was confiscated and she had this record, you can't tell me she's that dumb to not look at that and go, huh, that's interesting. Seems like something's missing. Or to not know that all of this exists. But I digress. What was going on said plane? Well, there's Ghislaine Maxwell with her boobies hanging out, giving a foot massage to said pederast. She was a little bit of a babe back then. You know, for like the 90s, right? This is her in like the 90s, maybe early 2000s. She's not hot, but she's not unattractive either, right? A little foot massage on the plane. She's sitting in jail. She ain't talking about nothing. She ain't talking to nobody. So where are we at here, right? And for funsies, let's do this. Okay, so, oh, by the way, can I move this over? Are you able to see? Yes. So I did a search for Sophie, this Sophie Biddle, because remember I said that she was on a flight with Trump. She's on here a lot, and by a lot, I mean 96 times. Maybe not that many, because it's listed multiple times. So, Biddle, Sophie, $28 times on the flight record. 28 times. 30. It's still going. It's still counting them. 30 times. And the Sophie Biddle only appears once, as you see. So, damn. Who is she? I'm still trying to figure that out. But let's get to the bottom of this here, okay? Let's wrap this up. So, in my humble opinion, Donald Trump is downplaying his connection to Epstein, which is probably a smart thing to do, though it is disingenuous. I don't care how big of a Trumper you are. You cannot deny that that is a disingenuous way to present it. He was a guy that I knew in Palm Beach. No, you were on his flight 8 times, but 2 of which were with his whole entire family. Another 3rd time, he was with his son, Eric, who was also probably a little kid at that time. So I'm doubting any funny business is going on here. And all of this was pre-1998 when we know that Epstein bought the island in 1998, as we have it right here. That doesn't mean that funny business wasn't going on the flights or something like that. Just because he didn't have an island to take people to and record videos and stuff doesn't mean silly shit wasn't happening on the plane. So we can't just rule it out, but we can say fairly certain that was Trump saying, We had a falling out 15 plus years ago, and we all know that when we say 15 years ago, we think like the 90s and not 2010. Jesus Christ. 2010 was 15 years ago. I don't know when that video came out or whatever, but you know, I know at least for me, I'm of the age when I think 15 years ago, I think 1997. I don't know about you, but so I don't think, you know, and the flight stopped in 97, a year and a half before the island was ever bought. I don't think there's any, and there's clearly with all of these flight records, there's no way that every single one of these were dirty business. There's just too much movement going on. Flights were going out every goddamn day just about here. Just for example, let's take a look here. November 17th, 20th, 21st, 26th, 29th. These were not all pedo flights. They're not. You just can't, there's no, it makes no sense. Now let's get into the fun stuff, okay? So now that I've cleared Trump's name, I think I've cleared Trump's name, but I wanted to bring this to your attention because I'm not seeing anybody else talk about this. If you see it on the left, they're saying, oh, Trump's scared about the documents. He's scared of what people will find. Maybe one of these boxes of shit here contained Trump getting peed on or something like that, right? Maybe it did, but I highly doubt it. That's just me, though, personal opinion. But we have these full flights, and I have gone through them. I want to draw your attention to this. Let me, can I pull my finder back? Are you able to see this finder up here in the corner? I want to show you something. We're going to type in TIST. Look at it go. Boom, 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 boom. Look at it. Thousands. And this is why I haven't gone through it all yet. This is why I haven't gone through it all yet. What is TIST, you ask? Huh? Let's pull up. I didn't have it pre-pulled up, so bear with me here. Let me. TIST flight code. Cyril E. King Airport in Charlotte, Amalie, United States, Virgin Islands. Boom. That is the airport in the Virgin Islands. TIST. That's the airport code for private jets for the Virgin Islands. Where's Epstein's Island, remember? Private Island, Little St. James, Virgin Islands. Okay, now we're cooking, right? Now we're getting to the meat of things. 2,000 results. Now, they're not all 2,000 flights because TIST will be labeled here a couple times. So here's the very first appearance of TSIT, if you can see it right there at the top. But when you scooch over, it's also right there. So not every result is a separate flight, but it's a lot of them, okay? And look at this. So we're seeing tist. Lots of tists. See how it'll jump over to the other details over here. I don't even know what that is necessarily. It's a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but these are all flights to or from Epstein Island right here. United States Virgin Islands. Who's on these flights? Well, I'm working my way through that, folks. But I can tell you, Gwendolyn Beck, she's on there, I believe. So there's a Donald Trump. Oof. Did I catch that one? Yeah, that's the January 5th, 1997. We had that. Okay, just making sure. But yeah, there you see Donald Trump on that flight. Not to TIST. Of course, he was making flights before. He was making flights to the island before he owned it. That's interesting. I don't know if there was a vacation there or not. None of Trump's flights went there, though. Trump's were all to New Jersey, D.C., or Palm Beach, Florida. That's it. That's the only places he was going. Who else is on this list, though? Let's wrap this up here. So I've showed you the Trump. What about Prince Andrew? Oop, let me scooch it over here for you. Prince Andrew appears on this list. And he flew from Jersey to Palm Beach, so nothing necessarily shady there. One flight only. I'm not gonna hold it against him. 8 flights for Trump's a lot, man. You're not gonna hear that anywhere on other conservative media. I don't care who the fuck you are. You ain't heard that before. 8 flights. Nobody's talking about that. They conveniently leave Trump's name out. It's the only reason I brought him up, but I don't think he's involved. Who is, though? Because Trump's flights ended before Island was bought. Okay, we've established that. Here we are, though. Bill Clinton. Want to guess how many times Bill Clinton appears on this list? His start in 2002, which means we have all of them on this tracker here. So we'll remove this tist up here and we'll put Clinton Bill. Let's see what we come up with here. 25 flights. 25. I have them listed here for you. Starting in 2002. Miami to Westchester. With Secret Service, with an unidentified males. They're just listed as male. And female, 1. And Jeffrey Epstein. Interesting. Secret Service was on the flight. Also, Ghislaine Maxwell, Sarah Kellen, and PA. I don't know who this PA is. Secret Service was there, though. So, how much funny business could be going on with the Secret Service there? You could argue that Clinton's Secret Service guy could just turn a blind eye. Could be led to believe that. There's another one. Doug Band, Secret Service again. Epstein, Maxwell, Sarah Kellen. New York to London, and then from London back to New York with the same crew of people. It looks like they picked up an extra male, and Naomi Campbell. Naomi Campbell, the vaguely familiar actress from the 90s. She was on a couple of these too. Another one from Japan to Hong Kong. This one, no Secret Service. Interesting. Other names, Janice, illegible, MCXG, I don't know. Passenger, and then it says 6 after that, so I don't know, were those 6 unidentified passengers? Who are all these people? I haven't cross-referenced them yet, but they're there, and there's no Secret Service on this flight. Hong Kong to somewhere else, Shenzhen in China. Some of the same people, no Secret Service. From China to Singapore, same people, no Secret Service. So I haven't looked into what Bill Clinton was doing in Singapore in 2002. It'd be interesting to see if that could be looked up, but you're going to see more interesting things here. Just hang on. We're going to get it more interesting here. Epstein, Maxwell, PA, Secret Service. So why wasn't Secret Service on those previous flights? Why would he leave them home for some of these flights, but not all of them? Interesting. Ghislaine Maxwell on almost all of these flights too, by the way. Another one with Secret Service from Portugal to New York. From New York back to Portugal. Oh, look who's on this list. Kevin Spacey, Chris Tucker. Kevin Spacey and Chris Tucker and a whole bunch of other people. I have no idea who they are. What was Bill Clinton doing flying around with Jeffrey Epstein, Kevin Spacey, and Chris Tucker? and a whole bunch of other people going to Portugal. The next day from Portugal to Ghana with the same people. Were they on a fucking tour? What was going on here? Another one from Ghana to Nigeria. Same crew of people. Spacey, Tucker, Chris Tucker. From Friday. You got knocked the fuck out. That guy. Kevin Spacey, amazing actor. Known pederast. Suspected pederast, I guess, to cover my ass here. I don't know. What even is a pederast? It's a made-up word. Another one, Kevin Spacey, from Rwanda to Mozambique. So they're just touring all these foreign nations. I'm wondering, and it is worth a Google if you'll humor me here, to see if they were at some kind of an event together. 2002, Kevin Spacey, Chris Tucker, Bill Clinton. Flight logs. Oh, this might be something. Pull up the old Facebook, hey? Come on, you slow bitch. Actor Kevin Spacey and Chris Tucker were also on the 2002 trip to Africa and appear in some photos. Photos emerge aboard of Clinton on the Lolita Express. Okay, so it's just referencing that. Okay, so we'll throw that out the window for now. Interesting, though, isn't it? What were these guys doing? Nothing immediately popped up. It's not like they were there for a movie premiere or anything. Another trip from Mozambique to South Africa. Kevin Spacey, Chris Tucker, Epstein. What are we doing here? Same crew of people. They're all just hopping around, having a good old time for several days here. From South Africa to South Africa, Cape Town to Johannesburg. Same crew of people. Johannesburg to back to Cape Town. Same group of people. Cape Town to Ghana, same group of people. What about this? From Accra, Ghana to Paris, France. Now they're going to Paris. Boy, they're just jet setting, aren't they? Epstein, Bill Clinton. But by the way, you're not seeing Bill Clinton's name here because it's at the top. So I'm just including all these bullet points where other people named on the flights. So we have September 29th, from Ghana to Paris, Kevin Spacey, Chris Tucker, Epstein, Ghislaine, Clinton, and a bunch of other people I don't know, but they were all on those other flights. Paris to London, same group of people. Looks like they lost a couple along the way, perhaps. Now we got another one from Brussels to Belgium. Now we have Secret Services back on the plane. Okay, why were all those flights without Secret Service, but now we have Secret Service again? If I had to guess, the ones without Secret Service are shady. There's no other way. Well, you can stay home. I don't need protection on this flight. Really? But you need protection on all these other ones? Why has he got his Secret Service with him on all these other flights? Oh, look at this. Almost all these other ones are, and I'm not even saying that with Secret Service around, he wouldn't be up to anything dirty. But there are plenty of flights with other suspected creepoids that have no Secret Service. Nobody watching. And that is the end. Number 25 ended in 2003. So those were all 2002 to 2003. 25 flights. A lot of them happened in the same period. They were just on a jet-setting party trip around Africa and China and fucking London and Jesus. Naomi Campbell was on 5 of these flights. Kevin Spacey was on 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 of these flights. Chris Tucker also on 11 of these flights. These are all those ones. They were just partying. Now, here we have island visits. I began to start my list of island visits, and I apologize. I have not gotten too far, but these are trips that go to the island. I'm going to discount these ones that go to 1996 because he did not own the island then, but he did. Nope, in 98, he might have been looking at it. He didn't buy it till April, though. So let's skip past those. Here's the first one where we know there was a trip to the island when it was owned by Epstein for sure. However, we're already our 7th flight into to the Virgin Islands at this point. And there's a lot. They're just going to keep going and keep going and keep going. And that's as far as I made it. And I have not cross-referenced anybody for victims or anything like that. There are several names like this one. Claire Hazel pops up a lot on this list as well. There's a lot of regulars, and it's concerning. All of this is concerning. So, should we buy into the hype? Should we be believing that Donald Trump, the Donald, ooh, that zoomed in, didn't it? Should we believe that the Donald was involved in some shady business? I have proven that he was on that flight 8 times. I've also proven to you here today that none of those flights were to the island, and none of those flights happened while the island was under his ownership. We don't know if the pederast stuff started when he started the island or if it was going on before that. If it was going on before that, all bets are off, and who knows what was happening on the plane. Certainly, there's multiple parties, it looks like. Look at this guy. He's got a drink in his hand here. This chick's got a camera, though. She's watching people. This is clearly, and look at this drunk. That looks like Melania to me, but I don't know. Was she around that early? Maybe Trump just has a type. I don't know if Melania was around that early. Perhaps. How old is Barron? I think that might be Melania. Looks like her, but there's certainly evidence that they had a relationship. You got to take Trump at his word. At least the evidence kind of backs up Trump. I knew him, and then we had a falling out. Him saying we had a falling out insinuates that they had some sort of friendship or business relationship. But they had a falling out. Perhaps the falling out was over pederast shit. Maybe he got propositioned on a plane and he's like, you know what? Fuck you. I don't want nothing to do with that. I'm just speculating, and I'm just hoping, because I don't want my boy Trump. Because I voted for Trump. Trump's my guy. Team Trump all the way. But, you know, that's there. But I do think I've presented enough evidence here to show you that, yes, he was on that flight a lot. But he wasn't going to Pedo Island. And it was pre-Pedo Island. So take that how you will. And then, of course, all the Bill Clinton flights were post-Pedo Island, but not to the Pedo Island. None of them went to the island. However, there was quite the party going on. A huge group of people, including celebrities, with no Secret Service. All the other flights with Clinton had Secret Service. All of them, except for that little party flight with Chris Tucker and Kevin Spacey. Interesting. That's the ones you're going to want to dig into. Of course, Epstein had a painting of Clinton in a blue dress, so he doesn't have a painting of Trump in a blue dress, does he? What are your thoughts? I think we'll leave it there for now, unless more comes out on this. I feel comfortable that we've debunked this. There's not enough here for me to suspect that Trump was up to something dirty. Because there's no way that all of those flights were Petter flights, right? They weren't hookup flights. A lot of private jets. If you own a private jet, You rent them out. You fly other people around. He lived in Palm Beach. Trump lived in Palm Beach. It's easy to jump on a flight like, hey, can I hitch a ride with you on your flight to fucking New Jersey? Sure, of course. Probably pay for it, whatever. But man, look at that face right there. That's an evil face. Look at Trump's face. He doesn't look evil there. That's evil. You can look into the eyes of evil, right? Like everybody says, oh, Trump's an evil man, blah, blah, blah. That's an evil face. And this chick, I don't know. I'd love to know your thoughts. I'll leave it there, though, just because we've been going long here. But hopefully I've presented evidence that helps you sleep better at night, but also shines a light on something that nobody else in conservative media is talking about. And the lefties, people in lefty media will lie to you about. Now you know. 8 flights, Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein, pre-Epstein Island. Take it how you will. We'll leave it there. I'm going to go ahead and bounce. Peace, love, and pizza. I am your boy, Seth Grimes. Hit that subscribe button down below if you liked this, and we'll catch you in the next video.